Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going on a bit of a scientific detective mission. We're going to investigate the hidden traits of everyday items that are probably scattered all around your house right now. You might not realize it, but your kitchen, your bathroom, even your backyard, they're all part of a vibrant, colorful world of chemical substances that are just waiting to be decoded. So we're going to put on our forensic chemist hats and use clues provided by nature itself to classify the world around us. Let's get into it. Okay, to kick things off, I want you to think about this question. What do a lemon, a standard bar of soap, and a fallen red rose petal actually have in common? I know, at first glance, absolutely nothing, right? One goes in your iced tea, one washes your hands, and the other just looks pretty in a vase. But the answer actually lies in their completely unseen chemical properties. These items are prime suspects and key tools in understanding the fundamental rules of chemistry. By the end of this explainer, you're going to know exactly how these three connect. Here is our roadmap for today's adventure. We'll be covering four main areas: nature's hidden science lab, meet the acid-base indicators, the magic of neutralization, and finally, chemistry and daily life. All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, nature's hidden science lab, identifying the suspects. You know, pretty much everything we interact with daily, from the juice we drink to the water we wash with, falls into one of three primary chemical classifications. These are our hidden identities: acids, bases, and neutrals. You can kind of think of acids and bases as opposite ends of a chemical spectrum, with neutrals sitting calmly right there in the middle. But the tricky part? You can't always just look at a liquid and know which one it is. I mean, water and white vinegar look totally identical, but chemically they behave in completely different ways. So we need a reliable way to expose their true nature. And that brings us to our very first tool for uncovering these hidden traits: good old litmus paper. And fun fact, litmus actually comes from lichens, which is this really fascinating living combo of fungi and algae that grow on rocks and trees. Anyway, to do this test properly, you don't just dunk the paper into the liquid. No, you cut small strips of red and blue litmus paper, spread them out on a clean white tile, and use a dropper to place just a single drop of your suspect sample, like lemon juice or soap, right onto the paper. Then you just sit back and watch the reaction. Now, the resulting data perfectly sorts out our suspects. When we drop lemon juice onto blue litmus paper, boom, it instantly turns red. But on the red litmus paper, absolutely nothing happens. So that classifies it into Group A, acidic substances. Next up, the soap solution. It does nothing to the blue paper, but it actually turns the red litmus paper blue. That puts it firmly in Group B, basic substances. And what about standard tap water? Well, it causes no color change on either the red or the blue litmus paper. It sits perfectly in Group C, meaning it's entirely neutral. So just to recap, acids turn blue to red, bases turn red to blue, neutrals do nothing. Moving right along to Section 2, meet the acid-base indicators, our detective toolkit. Remember that red rose I mentioned at the very beginning? Well, it turns out you can actually make your own natural indicator right in your kitchen using it. It's super simple. First, collect some fallen red rose petals and wash them off. Next, crush them up really well. Third, put them in a glass and immerse them completely in hot water, just letting them sit for about 5 to 10 minutes until the water takes on this beautiful color. Finally, filter the liquid. That remaining liquid, the filtrate, is now a highly effective, totally natural acid-base indicator. This homemade extract is basically a chemical polygraph test. If you take a few drops of your red rose extract and mix it with an acidic solution, like our lemon juice or vinegar, the liquid will turn a very distinct shade of red. But if you drop it into a basic solution, like baking soda or soap, the liquid turns a vibrant, unmistakable shade of green. Literally, just by watching the colors shift from red to green, you've completely unlocked the chemical identity of that substance. How cool is that? And hey, we've got other natural tools too. You can make indicator paper out of turmeric, the famous golden spice from the ginger family. By making a simple paste with turmeric and water, soaking some filter paper in it and letting it dry, you create these yellow turmeric strips. But here's the trick with turmeric. It's a highly specialized tool. If you drop a basic substance on it, the yellow paper turns bright red. But if you drop an acidic or neutral substance on it, the color doesn't change at all. It's a fantastic detector for bases, but for distinguishing between an acid and a neutral, it kind of just plays dumb. Now, up to this point, we've been relying entirely on our eyes to solve these chemical mysteries. But let me ask you this. Are there any substances whose odors change when mixed with acids or bases? Like, what if you were visually impaired, or the color change just wasn't clear enough to see? Could we actually use our nose as a scientific instrument? The answer is a resounding yes.
Enter olfactory indicators. Olfactory is just a fancy word referring to our sense of smell. Here's how it works. Take finely chopped onions and leave them tightly closed in a container overnight with some clean strips of cotton cloth. The cloth is going to absorb that super strong onion odor. Now, if you take one of those smelly cloth strips and put drops of an acidic substance on it, like tamarind water, the smell will react entirely differently than if you put drops of a basic substance, like a baking soda solution on it. The chemical medium literally changes the odor profile, so you can literally sniff out the difference between an acid and a base. Okay, let's dive into Section 3, the magic of neutralization, a clash of opposites.
This right here is the ultimate chemical showdown. When you mix the solution of an acid with a solution of a base in sufficient quantities, they completely cancel each other out. The resulting solution isn't acidic or basic anymore, it becomes completely neutral. This is what we call a neutralization reaction. The acid and the base destroy each other's properties to form two completely new things, salt and water. And fascinatingly, this clash of opposites generates energy. It actually evolves and releases noticeable heat in the process. Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, Chemistry in Daily Life, Solving Real-World Cases.
So why does this matter outside the lab? Well, neutralization actually solves some very real and sometimes downright painful practical problems. Imagine you're resting your hand on a tree and out of nowhere a red ant bites you. It leaves this stinging red welt. Why does it hurt so much? Because the ant just injected an acidic liquid called formic acid right under your skin. How do you fix it? You rub moist baking soda, which is a base, onto the bite to neutralize the acid and stop the pain. Or think about agriculture. If a farmer uses way too many chemical fertilizers, the soil can become overly acidic, and the crops will literally refuse to grow. The remedy? They treat this soil with a basic substance to neutralize it back to a healthy, balanced state. It even saves lives on a massive environmental scale. Factory waste is frequently highly acidic. If they pumped that straight into a local lake, it would completely devastate the aquatic ecosystem. So to prevent this, factories actually have to add basic substances to their waste, neutralizing it into harmless salt and water before releasing it into the wild.
Well, we've definitely covered a lot of ground today, from testing household liquids with rose petals to curing ant bites with baking soda. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final mystery to solve using your brand new detective skills. Imagine someone writes you a secret, invisible message on a piece of paper using orange juice. Knowing that orange juice is highly acidic, which of our natural indicators would you use to safely reveal that hidden message without destroying it? Would you reach for the red rose extract, or maybe try to trigger a reaction using a base? I'm going to let you ponder that one. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember to keep looking for the hidden chemistry in your daily life.